gon' make some moves tonight. Yeah, stand up, got something to prove tonight. So stand up, we ain't gonna plan tonight. We gonna take action on our dreams and fight, alright. We ain't gonna stall, never stop. We gon' make it all till it's out. We ain't gonna plan tonight. We gonna take action on our dreams and fight, alright.
Hey folks, what's going on? My name is Scott Churchson. Alongside me is Dat Boy Dobby, who, by the way, I should point out, was, I believe, at Yankee Stadium last night to watch the NYCFC FC Cincinnati match that we are going to be talking in great detail about today. We'll be talking about basically that match, breaking down the goals that happened on both sides of the fence, Pascal Jansson's comments about that match, and probably also discussing CF Montreal this upcoming weekend, and maybe a couple other things. But right out of the gate, sir, let me ask you this. What happened?
You're asking the wrong person that question. You should ask that whole back line. I don't know.
Go. Just let it go, man.
I don't know what it is. I don't know, man. I give up. I know it's April, and I guess the only thing that kind of it was similar to last year is that we're down an important piece in the offense, and we kind of went through a skid like this at around this same point last year, and where there's Open Cup and you have multiple fixtures, for whether it be a week or two, like back to back, and you just wouldn't pick up points and you weren't scoring goals. It feels similar, but different. It just feels like this, like when the defense is going, the offense isn't up to it, and then when the offense is going, the defense just goes ahead and does whatever diabolical shit they did. How do you blow a 2-goal lead going into stoppage time? How does that happen? You should be able to comfortably coast to a 4-2 victory, even with 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. You and I were talking about this last night. You asked that exact same question of me, and we're going to talk about some of the numbers that are going on right now. Basically early on when NYCFC had their hot start, and really the fall that happened starting with Miami. USL notwithstanding, Westchester notwithstanding, the struggles that have happened over the last 5 matches, 2 points, out of a possible 15 right now. And those 2 draws, by all accounts, Pascal Jansson in both cases said they felt like a loss because the victory was right in the palm of their hand. St. Louis and also last night with FC Cincinnati. And in both cases, you had 6
both
points
at home. Both at home, by the way.
Correct. Also, great point. Both at home. So you have to look at that, and that's a big concern also because of the 6 of the 9 matches the team has had so far. 6 of them have been at home. They've got 11 more home games for the rest of the season, 14 road games. So you have some concerns there. And we're going to talk about the later part of the season. We'll even talk probably Open Cup, US Open Cup, RBNY next week. We'll talk a little bit about that. But in your case, obviously you were at the stadium last night, I think, correct?
Yeah. Supporter section.
Yeah, you were in the supporter section there. Obviously, Tyler Magno's. I was going to say Agostino Hayda's goal, putting it up by 2. Tyler Magno's goal, putting it back up by 2.
I can tell you, after the 4th goal, everybody thought it was over. It was 82nd minute. Everybody seemed relaxed. Everybody's like, all right, we can relax a little bit. We're up 4-2 at home. Cincinnati, they do have good offensive players, but they're just coming into the game. They weren't in good form at all, and the defense is god awful for Cincinnati. They've allowed I think that they allowed 23 goals, including last night to this point in the season. So we knew their defense was leaky, and plus when they said 7 goals, I was thinking, oh, this is an opportunity to get a 5th and truly put the game away. And then they concede a long shot, and then they just fold under the pressure and give up a penalty.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to pull that up now. I want to show you guys actually the downfall, I guess we'll call it. Let's back this up a tiny bit. I'm going to put it right here for Tyler's goal first. And I'm going to let this thing run a little bit. With any luck, cross fingers that I will not actually be demonetized or anything like that. There we go. Full size and go. There's no audio on this, so don't worry about that part. But yeah, Tyler's had that goal right there, which, like I said, put you guys up 4-2. And then it all fell apart, 91st minute right here. The throw in, obviously, Matt was so unprepared for that shot, from outside the box there to suddenly make it 4-3.
Could we just replay? Could we replay that?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's gonna run highlights if that works for you.
Okay.
So
right there. There's way too much space, way too much time. He could have swapped it onto his other foot if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Taking another touches. That's how much time and space this guy had to
he was able to set up exactly as he needed to right there. So let's see if I can back this up a tiny bit. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, you see
right
all
there.
the space right
poor defensive shape. Everybody's in the box.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what I'm looking for.
In and around the box, and look at that. He's just that's a good 25 to 30 yards out.
That's it's 25, 35, 30 yards out. That's about, I don't know, probably 15 yards roughly, give or take right there.
Probably.
You allow that much space, you're allowed.
It's at least 10 yards of space from the closest defender.
And then of course, like I said, as soon as that goal happened, then you start the doubts immediately started to pull in. But again, you were still up by 1 at that point. So here we are, just barely 1 minute later. I want to point that out. 1 minute after the fact here. And then we have a little chance to get this out here. Set up on the side. And then Kevin O'Toole, foul right there.
Quality isn't the best, but I mean, for the clip, but still, that's.
Right. I had to kind of go low res on this.
Yeah, of course. No, but from the other side of the stadium, watching it from the other end, it looked like a 50-50. It didn't look like a penalty at all. But that just seems like a soft call for the referee to make, and especially at the time. At the time of this event, how it's 94th, 95th minute,
not even
in the game, and they just got on the board. They made it 4-3, so there's still some hope on Cincinnati's side, and then O'Toole gets beat, and then I don't know. I don't know if I'm being biased, but to me that seems like a bit of a soft call.
It wasn't really brought up too much in the press conference last night, as far as I can remember. But the question did remain in this case here. You have to be absolutely careful in this kind of a situation. You want to play aggressive and everything like that. But I mean, there was really no time spent on the VAR in this case, and it was Evander's goal to make right there. If you're going to get a PK and an opportunity, you put that man in that position right there. And if Cincinnati goes on a run, look at this match as basically being the catalyst as to why that probably happened.
Yeah. 100%. Now Saturday's trip to Montreal is now a must win.
And we're going to talk about that one a little bit later in this case here, because Montreal just had their big win against RBNY over the weekend. 4-1 win on that. They have only played 2 home games this year because Montreal has that bizarre season where they start 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 games on the road before they have any amount of home games here. So, that's going to be something. Yeah, it's going to be a big concern right there. A team that historically, we'll say it right now, a team that historically they did really, really well against for a long time until last year.
Yeah, I mean, they got to fight the demons of getting swept by Montreal last year. And, I mean, we were going into a derby last year, in similar form like this. And, coming off the loss to Red Bull in the playoffs in 24, and then we come out and we win, and that kind of turned the season around a little bit for us up until the break, and then we got Nico Fernandez, and then we went a bit on the run to the Eastern Conference Final. But we're hoping this could be like the Derby last year where we start to turn it around.
But also worth mentioning in this case here is Montreal has a full week of rest at home, so. They had the match against Philadelphia on the 11th, the match against the RBNY at home last week. So they have been sleeping in their own beds for an entire week, and they are not operating on 3 days rest, 2.5 days rest.
Yeah.
Because Thursday, Friday, and then it's a 2:30 p.m. match. So you have 2.5 days to recover.
Yeah. However, in City's favor, you have so much momentum on the offense, you can only roll that over to Saturday.
Yeah, I know. But in this case, you got to ask the question in this case. I mean, CF Montreal is a hit or miss team.
Yeah.
But they're going into this from their perspective, A, rested, B, knowing that they swept NYCFC last year, and C, having a very impressive win last week against RBNY.
Mm-hmm.
So you have three things in Montreal's favor right there that would give them the advantage. Again, and the big one in this case, I'm going to talk about this heavy. I'm going to keep talking about this, is NYCFC is on short rest. And you have to look at that from the perspective of 65, 70 minutes in, 75, 80 minutes in, where you're going to start seeing fatigue kicking in. And you might see Tyler's go in earlier. You might see, I don't know, Johnny or,
I have a better idea. Just start him. And then put Wolf on for the last 25, 30 minutes. I'm done with Hannes Wolf as of right now. My stock's really low on him. I'm selling my stock on Hannes Wolf, and Tallis only reinforced it by coming on and scoring what we thought would be the goal that put her away.
I remember Tallis the first round back in 2021. He never felt gelled. He never felt comfortable. And I think it's probably a youth thing. He was out of his environment. He just did not feel secure in his own skin. Even with Tati basically at the 9, he was able to just be a very simple, basically winger in this case. He's matured. He's grown. I think he's taken a few lumps. When he was down with Corinthians, they were, the fan base was like happy to let him go. So he has hit in some ways some degree of rock bottom. And I think that's humbled him and changed his persona and maybe his approach, where he realizes his shit doesn't really stink like the rest of us. And as a result, now he's a little more mature. He's been accepted by the old team that let him go. And I think he's having a little more fun right now. The hat trick he had against Westchester, the goal last night, which, should have been the game winner, or at least basically iced this whole game. I think he's enjoying his experience here more than he did the first time around. And again, I've mentioned this before. His English has absolutely improved. The first time out, dude, his English was really, really rough. Now he can communicate with like 90% accuracy. And I think that makes him feel more secure as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the new faces in leadership too, with Pascal and Tyler Donovan at the team compared to Cushing and Lee, and just how that all ended, and how it seemed like they kind of pushed him into an uncomfortable spot, and then expected him to kind of just dig out of it, and didn't really help him at the end.
Yeah. And in this case, obviously it's still a long season. There is some question. You wanted to start him on Saturday, and I can make the argument there too. The question is, I don't know if he's ready for a full 90, but maybe he can do 65 or 70. And I think because he's been coming in as a sub in the second half, midway through, his wheels should be in better shape right now.
Give him 60, 65.
Mm-hmm.
Give him an hour. That's the way I see it. Just give him an hour and see what he can do in an hour.
And you're saying putting him on the wing alongside Nika?
I think, but then that means, but then that means you would have to drop Ojeda and then put somebody else at striker, maybe Seymour Reed. But I don't think Pascal's going to do that. Seymour Reed's clearly not ready to become the starter. No. and I was disappointed that Seymour Reed wasn't subbed into this game, because I think this would have been a great game for him to come in and maybe get on the score sheet.
It could have been. Agustin Ojeda has obviously also been much more impressive and I think more secure this year than versus last year as well. And that's sometimes what happens. It just takes a couple of years to get your feet wet, get into a good position and everything like that. But yeah, Tylos and Agustin, I think you're going to have to rely on them big this weekend for Montreal and for probably the nearest foreseeable future, because everything is on short rest for a while.
Yeah, 100%. And especially, with Open Cup coming up, and then, thankfully the week after that, you kind of get a full week of rest. But then that week after, you have to go to Charlotte before you come back up to New Jersey to play Red Bull.
Yeah, so basically in this case, they have the match against Montreal on Saturday. Red Bull, from a travel perspective, is a home game. It's definitely not a home game, and obviously it's going to be very heavy RBNY fans. But from a traveling perspective,
they could sleep in their own bed.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, they just go to the central location, take the bus across the bridge, and they're there. So they got that to their advantage. And then after that, they have 2 more games at home, including DC on May 3rd, which will be funny because they're going to be facing Sean Johnson in goal. Sean Johnson
and Ty Baribo, who's coming off a hat trick last night.
And Ty Baribo, yes, yeah. So Tyboribo, who's been just phenomenal. Boy, that was a big loss for Philly.
I'm gonna pull up the schedule here for NYCFC because I think most of these games are must wins, but they're also favorable games. If you look at the opponent and on paper, granted the game's not played on paper, you have Montreal, who's a hit or miss team on the road, who's a team historically you've just completely dominated against and should have. If you just look at the record, you should have no problem beating Montreal, no matter if it's on the road or if it's at Yankee or at Citi Field or even at Red Bull Arena for that matter. And you got Red Bulls who you've never beaten in a knockout competition, and B, you've never scored a goal against in knockout competition either. So they're going to be looking to get revenge for that. Then the Sunday after that, Sunday, May 3rd, DC United at Citi Field. That has to be a win. And then you get that whole week of rest, and then you get Columbus Crew, and this is the weakest variation of the Crew in about a decade.
I was just going to say that.
This has to be 2 back-to-back home wins and at least a draw on the road against Montreal.
Yeah, I was going to say,
we probably don't want to draw. You want to win, but you bare minimum have to draw against Montreal on the road, and then you have to get 6 points in your last 2 home games before the break.
And then at that point, then basically it's roads for a while.
Yeah, and then it's Charlotte on the 13th, and 3 days after that. 3 days after that, when you get Red Bulls away, and then you have a full week of rest, and then your last game before the World Cup will be Nashville away. And considering how good Nashville's doing this year, that's not easy at all. Sam
Surridge, my God. I mean, I'm personally, I'm a fan of him. I'm really impressed with everything he's been bringing to the table right now. That could really be a good match. I think it would have been a good match like a month ago, or better match about a month ago.
Yeah.
When both teams are like 3-1-1 and everything like that.
Well, who knows? The game's still a month away, so it might still be a good match.
Could be.
Maybe they get their stuff. Maybe they get their act together and they actually start winning some games here.
Well, like you said, the biggest thing right out of the gate is trying to beat a CF Montreal team. Again, you're on short rest; they're not.
Yeah,
and that's going to really put some pressure on this. And then, again, right after that, I mean, I would almost say if the U.S. Open Cup was against a team like, I don't know, Indy 11, or somebody like that, or Portland Hearts of Pine, or something like this, they might be a little bit slightly more forgiving of a loss. But this is a derby match. This is a derby U.S. Open, so you got to throw all your eggs into that basket. From a pride
100%. I think against any MLS opposition, you want to give 100%. I mean, even against lower league opposition, you want to put your best foot forward. But I think if we had come up against another MLS team and lose in the Open Cup, we'd probably be a bit more forgiving. But because it's Red Bull, you're going to want to go out full throttle.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if they were going to play like San Jose or a tougher team like that, or Vancouver, I already paid Vancouver, but okay, we'll say the Earthquakes because they're. I personally, we just had Ted Ramey on. It was so much fun looking at this team and what everything's been going on with them because, it's been a great turnaround. The last couple of years have been phenomenal. Bruce Arena has done exactly what he's needed to do with that team, and for a city that has sucky teams for like 10 years, and I'm including the Sharks on that one too. It's really nice to see San Jose basically having something to cheer about over there right now. But I'm getting off track. But yeah, like I said, your first step right now, Pascal Jansson's general rule is he allows 24 hours. So right now, in about an hour, those 24 hours are up. You still got a point out of it. Should it have been 3? Yes, but you still got 1. It wasn't a loss. It was still 1 point.
It feels like it, though. It 100% feels like it.
Don't get me wrong, yeah. But, I mean, if it was a full-out 0-pointer, I think that would actually hurt a lot worse.
Yeah.
But the way they're doing this right now is
the only way is that you can continue your offensive form into the next game. You don't have to wait a week. But your defense got to fix up. Your defense has to close out the game.
Now, somebody posted on my Twitter last night. I forget what it was, but apparently, like, basically the losing streaks also happened since Raul Gustavo was being put in. Did you see the numbers on that?
No, I did not see it.
All right, let me see if I can pull up what she posted. For NYCFC's first 6 matches conceded 7 goals with Thiago and Kai starting at center back. Last 3 matches where Arul at center back conceded 8. Oof.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know why he decided to go with the same 11. I mean, I guess because they played really well in that first half against Charlotte. I guess maybe just because of that, but I mean, surely now Keaton and Kai Truin has to start this game. I mean, the jury's still out if Tallis will start or not. I don't expect him to start just because of how Pascal is and how Pascal said he might not be ready for a start or a full 90 in Major League Soccer. So I would expect Hannes Wolf to still start, as much as that's gonna,
as much as you hate that.
Yeah, as much as it's gonna piss people off. I think you got to start Keaton and you got to start Kai Truin at center back with Thiago Martins. And that's not to say that Gustavo is a bad player or a bad. I mean, he played well last night, in my opinion, and we still came up short.
Now, one of the things that my wife was talking about, we were watching the game last night, and she said that she's noticed of late that Matt Freese seems to be angrier, and he's playing with a different persona. A, do you think she's right on this? And B, do you think perhaps that the U.S. men's national has an impact on that?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that should have an impact. I mean, he's still, in my opinion, the best American goalkeeper in form going into the World Cup. Mm-hmm. So he should be the starter, hands down, no matter what happens in the World Cup. I just think it's the frustration building up and not winning, and his defense just, there's one really, really is weak and like our kryptonite to concede, and that's whether it be that's a set piece or a cross of any sort that we just conceded. You cross the ball, whether it just be like a cross from open play or a corner or a free kick that you earn, it's going to go into the back of the net. We just can't seem to get the ball away whenever it comes to crosses or set pieces. And I think that's what's really getting to Matt Freese.
You could be right on that one. His FOTMOB rating, by the way, last night was a 4.9. I don't know.
I mean, FOTMOB aren't really nice to goalkeepers when they concede. I think at least more than 3 or more goals. FOTMOB isn't really nice to goalkeepers. I mean, hell, Roman Celentano got a higher rating by 0.1, and he had a terrible mistake leading to the first goal of the game.
I'm sorry, they dropped it to 4. They dropped it to 4.8. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, he got a 4.8. Celentano got a 4.9.
Yeah, well, you get the thing. This is the first time I think since 2022 that NYCFC has been in a match where they had 8 goals, combined.
And it's not the first time that they had a 4-4 tie with Cincinnati either.
When was the last one?
2022.
Okay, maybe that was one of the ones I was thinking of. Okay, because I remember the one I can remember that really struck in my mind was Toronto. They had the 5-4 win against Toronto. Ronnie Dyla. Because somebody, I remember forget who it was, but somebody asked Ronnie Dyla in the press conference, like, do you prefer to win 1-0 or 5-4? He's like, I think 5-4 is more exciting, but my stomach can't handle it. And he's not wrong on that one, but it was like shortly before he left and the entire team had the upheaval, but they still had a decent run to, basically the Eastern Conference Finals anyway, facing, I think, Matt Freese team. So go figure. But yeah, I mean, right now, like I said, you're looking at the schedule, you look at what's coming up right now. There's a lot of concerns because what do you do? So,
fix up on defense and keep scoring goals. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope that they run drills on set piece defending and crossing defending in training, because this is, and they really look at the film, because this is. Quite frankly, this is unacceptable. The amount of times that they concede from crosses or set pieces.
And like you said in this case here, they've had 2 wins that became draws at home. So not only are they winless in 5, but the 2 draws that they got were late draws that were allowed on home turf.
Yeah,
And that's, like I said, that's a huge concern there. I mean, okay, Inter Miami, you lost 3-2. That's fine. You're facing Messi. 3-2
However, all three of those goals came on set pieces.
Yep. That's been a problem for them for a few years now, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, especially under Nick Cushing, the set pieces were terrible under Nick Cushing. And then last year, it seemed like, all right, we kind of fixed it a little bit. It's not as bad as in the Achilles heel, but now its ugly head is rearing again in 2026, and it's really showing it. I mean, if some of these set piece goals, if you take away even just a small number of them, you probably have more points than you do right now.
Sure. Now, my question that I want to ask you in this case here, is this Pascal's biggest challenge so far with this team up to this point?
Yeah. I mean, last year he kind of had something similar to this, but this is, I think, worse than last year, because last year at least you knew that it was his first year. He's starting to acclimate. Now it's the second year, and you haven't won in a month in league play, and now it's like, well, we thought we were gonna take that extra step and kind of play better, but that's not the case after like four games into the season. I think he's been very unlucky as well. With just the way with injuries and the front office not being able to get some deals over the line. And, having it, in the front office is like, no, we're just going to gamble on an incomplete roster and just give it to you and see what you can do for half the year.
This opens up another question as well. I'm going to put this up, the current standings right now in MLS in the East. But as we're talking about that right now, and you're seeing NYCFC is currently, right down the middle in this case, 3-3-3, 19 goals scored, 5 goals allowed. And just straight down the middle, 2-2-2, 1-1-1, straight down, like in this case here. Are you surprised that Todd Donovan hasn't done more?
Yeah. I mean, I think he knew this was going to be a big offseason for NYCFC, but at the same time, you can't give him too much. Like, you're going to have to cut him some slack a little bit, just because he's coming into an MLS job, and it's a brand new environment for him. And, I think it might be similar, but I don't know. It could be acclimation. I really don't know, but I mean, it just, maybe it's CFG that's kind of just like, hey, like, we can't really, do all the things we want to do right now, mainly because, the guy they really want isn't available at the moment, and they have to wait until July post World Cup to see if that player is available, and if they want to get him at a certain price, and they might negotiate a certain price. I mean, I was listening to NYCFC Coffee Break with Glenn and Matty Lawrence yesterday on the my commute back home from class, and Matty said, I mean, if the person that they want is not available in the winter, then don't force it, because there's no point in wasting money. And I mean, especially in a league like this where there's a salary cap, and you can only spend so much money at the moment. I mean, we obviously hope that rule either gets expanded or is completely abolished in coming years. But I mean, that's true. So I have no idea if it's CFG or if it's Todd Donovan himself that doesn't really want to spend money. But it's still very frustrating as somebody on the outside, and and to the fans as well. It's very frustrating that this is a consistent theme with New York City FC and how they operate, especially in the winter window, where they know they have pressing needs, they don't address it, and they just give it to the coach and give it to the players here, and just be like, hey, do what you can for this part of the season, and then in the summer we're going to go ahead and see if that person's available at this price, and then we'll go ahead and give it to you.
And also keeping in mind that come this summer, we'll say July, August, whatever it might be, Alonso Martinez will come back. However, you also have to assume that he's not going to be a full 90 at that point. He'll be a 30, 40, 50, for probably the foreseeable few weeks in the future.
Did you have any updates on that that you could share, Alonso Martinez and his whereabouts at the moment, or?
I don't, in fact, on that. All I'm hearing is the same thing you guys are hearing right now, in the summer. I haven't heard anything. I would say probably right after World Cup, he'll start getting minutes in this case. World Cup, I personally think World Cup helps him.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And not only another player that's coming back from injury, Andres Perea.
Yes.
And his thank God that his injury wasn't as serious as we all thought, and he's coming back sooner rather than later.
Dude, yeah, because ACLs are brutal.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially on synthetic turf pitches that where we had to play against Charlotte, and where Alonso had his injury with Costa Rica in November. But the encouraging signs is that I did see pictures of Alonso, back on that cardio bike, but you could see the difference between the two legs. Where
I saw that too.
Yeah, he has a long way to go, but I think this 2-month break really helps him to the point where you don't have to feel like you have to rush to help the team play or help the team in any way, and B, you could just kind of sit back and relax and continue to do your routine that you picked up in rehab and whatnot. And I don't think the trainings will be as intense if you were during this part of the season right now, or when you have games on the weekends. I think the training sessions will probably be somewhat intense, but not too much to the point where you feel like you're gonna prepare for like a match because you have no matches for 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that'll help there. Now, I want to ask this question. On the other side of the equation, and this is the problem basically with Major League Soccer as a whole. Major League Soccer is AAA soccer to the worldwide stage. It's the way I've always referred to it for 5 or 6 years right now. Nico Fernandez Mercado, currently 8 goals in the season right now in 9 matches, clearly stepped straight into the striker role, and stunned a lot of people, myself included, because of just how well he has acclimated himself, and filled the slot. Now, in this case, I think you probably know where I'm going with this, but without his contribution, this team is not 3-3-3. This team is probably, 1-4-4, 1-5-3, something like that. But the question remains is he's getting a lot of eyes right now. And there's been some talk that basically he could be in the $20 to even $25 million mark. If a team comes along and offers $25 million for him, do you take that deal?
No, okay. Not at the moment. No, I think the continuation and the just everything with Pascal and wanting to have everything kind of cohesive and the continuity of everything. I think you keep Nico for now, and if you're gonna sell, I would say sell him after the sprint season next year.
Okay.
Sell him in that June, July window. And then by that point, you could spend, and it's the summer. You're going to go into that European calendar transition, and you can spend more money. Especially with CFG. CFG just tends to feel more comfortable spending a lot more money in the summer than in the winter with New York City FC.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate on something like this right now. His stock is extremely high at the moment. If you play that game and you wait that long, now he's competing for the striker spot alongside Alonso Martinez. So you have to basically question whether or not he's going to be able to put up the same numbers, which in turn means his sale value is not going to be as high.
Or maybe you drop him and you play him in the intended role when you first got him. Like you play him the way that you wanted him to play this whole time instead of having to make him play striker, have a makeshift 9 for a few games last year.
Yeah. I guess my question in this case here is if you wait that long, could his stock drop?
Yes, there's always a risk of your stock dropping. If you wait too long, to sell a player. Maybe you thought you could get more, like, and you think his performances would would just keep coming, and he would keep performing like this. But but at the same time, it's like maybe his performances are really, really good, and maybe you wait till the winter, where maybe a team in Europe is desperate for his quality, and they might be in a relegation fight, or they might be in a push,
or an injury happens, or something.
Yeah, or an injury happens, or they might be in a push for a European place. Maybe they are willing to spend a little extra. Maybe they're willing to put in a little, maybe an extra $5 million to the transfer fee.
Sweeten the pot a little bit. Yeah, but when you see what like Santi Rodriguez got, or Cujo got, a lot of these players that were picking up 16, 17 million. Now, the fact that he'd be looking at upwards of 25, I know NYCFC is looking at it from that perspective. And again, it is a AAA league, so you have to look at it from that perspective, that their entire goal for 95% of these players is frankly to play in Europe in the Premier League. And that's also going to open things up with other players like Matt Freese. How long does he stay here? What happens there? Do you pay the way for Tomas Romero? I mean, my God, there's so much of that. That's what I think sucks a little bit about this league, because the players that you get attached to, and the players that you bond with could be shipped out to Europe in a bigger way.
But I feel more comfortable in giving Romero the starting spot from Freese. Mainly because we've seen just seen more of Romero, playing as the goalkeeper, and he's a decent keeper in his own right by MLS standards. So I wouldn't mind him being the starter, unless CFG decides to maybe pull another trade for somebody in the MLS and bring him over to New York.
I don't think so. I mean, right now you got him on a good contract. Weirdly enough, he's from Jersey too, so he has roots here, so that might actually help a little bit in that regard. But I don't know. I mean, you got him, you got Rajat Singh, which nobody talks about Rajat Singh at all. I don't think I've ever even met the guy, to be honest with you. I mean, hell, at least I hung out with Cody Mazzell a few times. So, but yeah, no, Rajat Singh I know nothing about. But with Matt Freese, the fact that he took the job from Matt Turner, was a huge boost to his resume. Now, we can sit there, we could talk about some of the issues going on with World Cup, and Nelly, is there a lot of those. It's been really good for my TikTok, I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But as far as Matt Freese goes, what do you do there? How long does he run? He's 27 now, right now, as a reminder. 28 this year.
I mean, if everything goes to plan and he's the starter at the World Cup, and the States go pretty far, I could see him get sold in the summer.
This summer.
Yeah, this summer. Yeah, that's. But I think that the U.S. has to have a really good World Cup. Get far, and I think even if
they will.
I think so, mainly just because they're on home turf, and they might get. I think they get out of the group. I think they do it, whether that be first or second. I think they get out of that, and then they'll probably have a favorable draw in the round of 32, and then round of 16 that might get a little bit more difficult. But because of the expanded format, you might still have a football minnow to say the least, and you might be able to sneak your way to a quarterfinal again. But that's what, 2 months out, so we really don't know. Also, I think some people may be people are overreacting on Twitter, especially on the USMNT side of things. Obviously it wasn't good to see them lose in the fashion that they did against Portugal and Belgium, but at the same time, it's also like friendly matches, and we're still, quite a long way out from the World Cup. So I would probably cool it down a little bit. We haven't seen the final roster just yet. I think those come out in May, some point next month, before the friendlies that we have against Senegal and Germany. And I think you got to look at the performance in those two games instead of the result, just to see the direction that we're going to go in heading into our group stage of the World Cup. I mean, also you have to just to point out the teams we have in our group are not at the same level as a Senegal or a Germany. Those are going to be your toughest games coming up. I think Australia and Paraguay are manageable teams and manageable fixtures. I think the U.S. should be able to get 6 points out of those games. We in my opinion, we just have the better core and the better group of players, but they just have to turn up on the day.
Sure. Now, for me, my opinion on that one, we'll come back to NYCFC in a second. I feel that if they don't get past the round of 16, it's a failed season. It's a failed campaign.
If they don't bare minimum reach the 16,
if they don't get past the 16.
Oh, they don't get past it.
They have never gotten past the 16.
Only once in 2002.
Yeah.
Against Mexico.
Sure, yeah.
But other than that, they haven't returned. Yeah.
But I think if you get back that far, on home turf and you get to the 8, I think you can walk away somewhat happy with something like this.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody wants a quarterfinal, so
yeah.
If you reach the quarterfinals, you did very well.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll be interested to see what ends up happening there. But anyway, back to NYCFC right now. What do you think is going to happen this weekend? Seriously, let's go back. Let's go talk Cincinnati, Montreal right now. I mean, I'm sorry. I have to give advantage to Montreal here. I do.
I got no clue, genuinely, because we could either play really well for 90 minutes and then just shit the bed in stoppage time again, like we have been doing, or we could have another frustrating match like we did against Charlotte, where you dominate the whole game and Montreal, they get one chance off an effective counter and then they take it.
Yeah.
But I'll be positive. I think we turn it around. I think we win by a goal here.
Okay.
I wanted to say 1-0. I said it on my podcast earlier this week, where I think we go up and win 1-0, but they'll make us work for it. I think we win 2-1. It's not going to be easy, but they'll make us work for it. But I think the boys do just enough in Quebec, and they come back home with a victory here.
I mean, right now, obviously, it all comes down to really just stopping Prince of Osu. I mean, he's got 9 goal contributions on the season right now, 5 goals, 4 assists. And as far as goal contributions across the board, they've had 19 in total.
I do wonder, do they not look at their strikers within the league? Like, because Prince Owusu, probably not the profile of player that NYCFC would probably want to have at striker, but I mean, the way he's performing, like, I think we'd all love to have him over here.
That would probably work in this case, yeah. But I don't know if they're gonna part with someone like him.
Yeah, I was gonna say this when it comes to Alonso Martinez. Maybe the Silla deal falling through is a blessing in disguise, because maybe they know something we don't.
And the Silla deal. Imagine, if that deal didn't go through, you wouldn't have realized what you had with Nico either.
100%.
It changes the entire dynamic, because it put Nico, and we talked about this weeks ago. It's like, can Nico really do what's needed of him? I didn't think so. I was wrong. I'll own that one 1,000% over. He's been, like I said, at the top right now, 8 goals in 9 matches, and he has been exactly what they needed right here. So I would almost say, don't touch a Prince Owusu. Ride the hot hand that is Nico, who's comfortable, who's confident, who knows the team and knows, everybody involved. He's got a good rapport with Agustin. He's got everything going on in a lot of different fronts there. Stick with it. I think right now, ride that out. But it's ironic because, again, if the Musa deal goes through, you never see what you have with someone like him.
Yeah, I mean, not only that. You know, I lost my train of thought there.
Okay.
But yeah, man, I mean, Silla, he's, you know, at the time when we wanted to take him, he wasn't really match fit, was barely getting any minutes. But ever since then, he's been, you know, I've been following him, Mob, and he's been getting more minutes progressively and scoring more goals. So maybe that's why they didn't want to take a chance on him, because they probably knew that it was going to take a little bit of a you know, of a while to get acclimated to the States and Major League Soccer, and then coming off the injury, you know, maybe it was just too much risk for them at the time, and you know, they have the reasons of why they backed out of that. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we all get surprised and Alonso starts against Columbus post World Cup break. Who knows?
Possibly. But
I mean, they keep all those medical reasons confidential for a reason.
Yes. Well, also just HIPAA too. Legally, from a legal perspective, you have to. You know, it's not just releasing to the team, but also
unless you're Sean Payton and you just air it out in a press conference.
Dude, yeah, the Bo Nix thing is like, yeah, he's out, he's done. You know, but you know what's funny? They barely lost that game too against the Patriots. You know, they almost beat the Patriots despite Bo Nix not playing that.
Yeah.
But anyway, but Agostino Heda, I mean, you know, we mentioned him. I just want to give him a shout out here. You know, he's third on the team right now in goal contributions with 5.
He's been excellent.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's been excellent.
You know,
he's last night I think he was unlucky not to get more than 1. I think genuinely, I think all our attackers are unlucky to, you know, not end up with more goals than what they did. Because and the thing with last night, you can't use we don't have a striker excuse, because 4 goals, whether you have a striker or not, 4 goals is enough to win any game.
Yep. I'd be curious to find out what the win percentage is statistically if you have 4 goals.
It's got to be high up there.
There's got to be a number. It's got to be like
80 to 90. 80 to 90.
Maybe 90 to 95 even.
Yeah, probably.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I'd be curious because, you know, they have these win probabilities when you throw like 3 interceptions in a game. Yeah. I'd be curious what the win percentage is when you score 4 goals in a game. I'd be curious about hockey with that too, but you know, it's got to be high. But I only wanted to have one more probably thing in this case here. If you have any other things, please 1000% let me know. But Maxi Morales, you know, very quietly under the radar, 6 assists on the season so far.
I'm timeless wonder. Timeless wonder this guy is. I mean, still even at the age of 39, he still is so incredibly fit and could just keep producing, you know, moments of magic. I mean, the ball he played to Nico for that second goal was brilliant. Like this guy hasn't lost it at all. And you know, we all thought, oh, he might retire. He came back, and you know, he keeps coming back and keeps producing more. He just doesn't. He's an ageless wonder, this guy.
Mm-hmm. If you see this right here, this is the breakdown of the assists on a season right now. So he's tied for second in the league numbers right now. Sona's first, and then there's a 3-way tie for six assists on the season, and Maxi's in there.
That's incredible. That Hyunmin's son has 7 assists and no goals. By the way,
he knows his role though. You know, pass. You know, get it over to Bouanga, get it over to the rest of the guys. You know, and just bring in that massive Korean audience the same way that Otani brings in the Japanese audience over there.
Yeah, I'm sure the Korean and you know and the rest of the Asian community over here were disappointed to find out that game got postponed. Yeah, but I think it's only to the benefit of NYCFC.
I was surprised a little bit by that one too, and obviously it's going to be beneficial to LAFC as well. I will tell you though, I have been to Korean matches against U.S. men's national as a press person. I did it last year.
Yeah, I saw that, and we were the away team in our own stadium.
90% Korean fans. And that's what I think the World Cup is going to be for a lot of these people. Because everybody on TikTok keeps telling me, it's like, you know, I'm flying in from here. All the Americans are like, I'm not paying for this. But people, they know that people are coming in from other countries that are fighting through the ticket gaps that, you know, FIFA's got right now with everything, including the one yesterday.
All we can hope, it's wishful thinking, all we can hope is that they have a crash just like last year.
Sure. Have to see what ends up happening there, but
yeah, I mean, off topic, but I find it hilarious that Europeans want to walk to MetLife Stadium. It's like, oh, we'll walk there, but I counted that with, do you want to die? You want
It's
you want
not
somebody to
designed to
swerve into, you want somebody to swerve into you whilst you walk on the shoulder of a highway. Like that's
There will be people who do. Listen, I live 15 minutes from there. I mean, it's in Bergen County. I'm in Bergen County. I know that stadium as well as probably anybody could because I grew up essentially, at there and what was way back Brendan Arena.
Giants, yeah.
Yeah, and then see the Izod Center. I mean, I have ties to that center, to that stadium going back to probably like 1979.
Yeah, you've been probably going to Giants games ever since you were probably what, a kid?
Not as many Giants games as basically we would have thought. I mean, I did do college games there, but I did a lot of Devils games over at Brendan Byrne Arena in Continental Airlines. Enough that I know that entire layout and everything like that. And I also knew how weird it was when that was turned into a studio for TV shows like The Equalizer and The Enemy Within, and seeing like a toilet where the puck was dropped. It's like the weirdest friggin' thing. It's like, oh, your stages now are literally where I used to hang out. But it was, like I said, what was amazing to me about this is the fact that it's not designed for public transit. It never has been. It is designed for car parking. And every time you come off Route 3, you pick up 17, you have to come up and around and you see MetLife Stadium, you drive right past it and you see all of the parking that's available, especially if there's something going on, Giants game, Jets game, flea market even, and it is designed for people to drive to. You have the option of being able to go and park a car at American Dream Mall for like $225, but that is a 3/4 of a mile walk also. And imagine doing that with 35,000 people. Oh, this is a mess and a half. I've ranted hardcore on this and everything like that. And, ironically, like I said, I owe much of my TikTok growth has come from the fact that I've ranted on this. But, oh, dude, what a mess. What a mess.
Yeah, I mean, especially for all the American fans like myself and everybody else that, we're excited and looking forward to this year and the World Cup, and for FIFA to, kind of pull their bullshit and pull it under the rug from us, and just price out the normal average Joe from going to matches. It's very unfortunate, but I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. And me and Bill had a long thing breaking down every single glitch that happened, from the tickets to what happened in Lumen Field where you buy a ticket and you got moved somewhere else, to obviously New Jersey Transit's price gouge, and NJ Transit is arguably one of the worst train systems in the entire United States. Ask me how I know that one firsthand. And I mean, listen, it might go off without a hitch. It might be great. But right now, the only thing people are talking about with this is negative stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a month and a half left until the game starts. So
yeah,
who knows? Maybe I don't know. Wishful thinking. Maybe everything takes a crash and goes back to the price that it was supposed to be the whole time.
I don't know. There was a lot of complaints yesterday because they opened up some brand new tickets and people were sitting in the queue.
Yep, it's like artificial. They made like some artificial like sellouts, and they only put the tickets available from like from the top tiers, and they weren't releasing the lower tiers because they wanted to make it artificial to the point where it's like, hey, we everything's like going quickly, and the people that really want to go to the games end up forking over a crap ton of money to go see go see whatever teams they want, or even just any random matchup.
New Zealand versus Haiti. But not only that, but also when the website opened up, people were spending, I saw comments about this. People were spending 4 or 5, even 6 hours in a queue. And when their time was finally called, they would get a 404 error and the entire site would fail. And they'd have to go back in the queue for another 4 or 5 hours. So they were furious. So they sat there the entire time waiting for the clock to finally do it. And I tried the clock myself. After 3 hours, it went from here to like there. And for some people, they spent all day waiting on this, and then when they finally got the chance to finally get their ticket, the site crashed and they were punted back out again. And they had to start over again. It was insane.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So, but like I said, we're remain to be seen on this one. I'm sure tomorrow I'll probably have another thing for, to rant about with that. But for right now, as far as NYCFC goes, one final time in that direction, yeah, I think you're right. This has to be a game to right the ship. Westchester, I thought was going to be that game, because their B squad still won handily, up in Westchester a couple weeks ago. But this is a game right now where you have to win it. You got to right the ship, especially going to RBNY. But it's going to be a very tough one because, again, short rest.
Yeah, and you have favorable opponents coming up, so you have to pick up points.
Yep. And we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens with RBNY too, because that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, usually you'd want a good victory. You want it to be, pretty football and to dominate. But I mean, at this point, I think I'd happily take an ugly 1-0 win on the road.
Yeah, listen, an ugly win's always better than a pretty loss. And however you got to get it in, one or both of the next two.
Yeah.
I
just think they need the feeling of winning.
Yeah. I think if they lose this weekend, but they beat RBNY, yes, it hurts their MLS standings, but I think they can feel good about themselves overall.
Yeah, 100%. But the thing is with having a derby in the Open Cup, you have another derby coming up quickly in the league as well.
Or like 3 weeks, yeah. Now I've already put in a press request through Zach for RBNY on that, so I'm waiting to hear about Wednesday. But I plan to be there if I can.
Open Cup, right?
Yes, for Open Cup. Way back in the new section that they have the press people in, which is not where it used to be 2 years ago. Because that was the best. That was arguably the best seats of any press area in the country, and it was right there, dead smack in the middle of the pitch, and like 30 feet up. But now they put you like 300 feet up, and it is not really wheelchair, or basically handicap accessible. So you got to figure out your way up the stairs, and if you can't do it, we apologize for any inconvenience. So
it's terrible.
But anyway, I got nothing else. I'm not sure if you do, sir.
Just win, please. Just win. Just win. I don't care how it is. Just win.
It's like that line from The Waterboy. I don't care if you have to stab him. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to be really curious on this one. 2:30 on Saturday. The team is, I believe, already up there at this point. I think they flew up to Canada today.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, then tomorrow's the rest day, and they're doing the press conference tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pascal Janssen and Agustino Heda is doing that one. So, but we'll see what happens there. So, anyway, you got anything else, or are we wrapping?
Just win. That's it.
Fair enough. So, anyway, we shall see what happens. I'm Scott. That's Dobby. Thanks as always for tuning in. I appreciate it. Stay well. Stay